Welcome to the Head Shepherd podcast. I'm your host, Mark Ferguson, CEO here at nextGen Agri International, where we help livestock managers get the best out of their stock. Before we get started, thank you to our two fantastic sponsors for continuing to sponsor this podcast. MSD Animal Health is perhaps better known as Cooper's Animal Health in Australia and for their Allflex range across the world, with a comprehensive suite of animal health and management products. Honiger is a one-stop shop for wool harvesting and animal fibre removal. The Honiger team have a deep understanding of livestock agriculture, backed by Swiss engineering and a family business dedicated to manufacturing the best. We are grateful to our sponsors for their support, helping us bring Head Shepherd to you each week. And now it's time to get on with this week's episode. Welcome back to Head Shepherd. You're with Fer. Great to have you listening along. This week's episode features our newest recruit, Dr Emma Pettigrew, who's joining us from Warreri Romneys up in the North Island. Emma's our first full-time consultant in the North Island, and we're really looking forward to having genuine service offering up there in the north, the other half of the sheep population in New Zealand. So yeah, this week's episode is a bit of a backstory of Emma and her passion for breeding sheep. She grew up in breeding stud sheep and cattle, and it's going to be a great addition to the team. She's just hit the ground in the last couple of weeks, so it's great to have Emma on board. As usual, we've had an article released this week, and it's written this time by our very own Phoebe Eckerman, or Eckers as she's better known in the team. She's explored the sort of future of livestock farming, and it outlines the developments shaping the industry, emerging technologies, precision farming techniques, and data-driven genetic improvement. So, a really interesting read from someone young in agriculture, thinking about what the future might hold. It's also fitting and exciting to reintroduce Jane Mulholland to the team. Jane's been away on maternity leave, been back in the team for a little while now, but just worth reintroducing her to our listeners. She's back to lead our digital shepherd solution. So Jane really is keen on the area of data for commercial operations. The people who've got EID in sheep and collecting data, but probably don't really know what to do with that information and are really looking for meaningful insights from that data. And so that's a real passion. And she's been working with a couple of breeders here or a couple of farmers here in New Zealand. Is really keen to extend that across Australia and New Zealand as our digital shepherd, as we're calling it. It's really cool to see how Jane's able to turn data that people are already collecting and already doing the work on into insights they can actually use. And that's really good. And as well as sort of planning and interpreting that future data situation as well. So, yeah, really great to have Jane back and really looking to help farmers to get the most out of their EID, really. And as we move into enforced EID in Australia, there's going to be more and more farmers that have got kind of this technology, but really not getting the most out of it. So if that's you, get in touch with Jane. She'd love to have a chat. And just before we get into Emma's interview, just wanted to again remind people we're looking for a new team member in Australia. If that's you or someone you know, that closes the end of this week. So we're recording in December 2024, and on the 20th of December that job will close. So I've had some good applications so far. In fact, some great ones. So yeah, but we're always looking for that unicorn person that can be the next gun in our team. So yeah, if that's you, get in touch. But we better get on with the show, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy hearing the story of Dr Emma Pettigrew. Welcome, nextGen's latest recruit, Emma Pettigrew, to Head Shepherd.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
Excellent, Emma. So yeah, we're really thrilled to have you on board recently. Haven't had somebody full-time on the road in North Island. Obviously, Sophie was up there, but she's just moved south, so we thought we'd better backfill someone in the north. But obviously, it's great to have someone of your experience and passion for the sheep industry and livestock generally. Maybe we'll just start back with where it all began, back with growing up and where your passion for sort of sheep and sheep breeding began.
Yeah, so I grew up on a stud sheep and beef farm in the Manawatu, just out of Agri. So mum and dad had stud Romneys, stud Texels and stud Finns. They were part of Risington, helping develop the Highlander, and then branched into developing the Headwaters sheep as well. So plenty of background in the stud sheep. They also had about 350 stud Simmental cows as well. So yeah, plenty going on. But yeah, I remember a lot of time spent helping out on the farm, mothering up and tagging at birth and all sorts. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. And so obviously did the uni thing and then got stuck in the uni thing for a while to do the PhD. So tell us a little bit about the time at Massey.
Yeah, so I actually originally started doing med-lab science, decided pretty early on that that wasn't for me, went into animal science instead and started, really, really enjoyed that one. Had an offer from Hugh Blair to come and do a summer scholarship and took that one up. And from there, basically ended up doing honours, which was selecting rams. It was a data drives dollars project about selecting rams using EBVs and proving just how EBVs work. And then from there, went into PhD. So it's been a long time at Massey. But yeah,
Palmy North is lovely.
The best part about Palmy is that it's not too far to get away from to go anywhere. But no, so did my PhD in selecting replacements born to ewe hoggets. So that was pretty cool. We had an old data set with small numbers of animals that had a lifetime study going on, and then we started a new cohort. So my first year was lambing about 1,700 ewes and hoggets and collecting all the data on that, and then selecting lambs from those ewe hoggets and following them for their first 2 years. And then, after that, it was time up on the PhD. But I think the studies continued for about 4 or 5 lambings after that. But yeah, the main finding that we had throughout the whole thing was that as long as the lambs are up to weight at weaning and going to be up to a mating weight, they'll be just as good as any other from a mixed age ewe as a replacement. The biggest effect on production was condition score, not size, so to speak. Yeah,
right. So often we consider just the easiest to chuck a terminal over those ewe hoggets or ewe lamb mating if you're in Australia, because they are a bit slow growing and all the rest of it. But you've obviously found if you do get them up to speed, then they're just the same, not better, just the same, is it?
Yeah, just to say, they could possibly be slightly more efficient, just given they've got a maternal constraint on their growth as a fetus, effectively making them smaller for their whole lifetime. So if they're slightly smaller but still producing the same, they could be more efficient. It wasn't a significant result that we found, though. It was just a trend. But yeah, it all depends on everyone's individual farm and policies and things like that. But if they're mating them to a standard maternal ram, there's no reason they can't consider those lambs as potential replacements.
Yeah, cool. And obviously that plays into our game a bit in terms of genetic gain, dropping down generation interval. If we can mate ewe lamb / ewe hoggets, it means we've got a younger average age group, so therefore a lower generation interval, therefore more rapid genetic gain. And I guess we've been strong advocates of that in the stud sector, and then sort of, as you said, it depends on the circumstances for the commercial sector. But on the stud game, it makes a heap of sense to just turn over those generations as fast as we can. Yeah,
absolutely. Common misconception, though, is that mating your hoggets increases genetic gain. You've got to actually select if the progeny are all terminal, then that progress stops when you kill those lambs. But you select their progeny. It also increases your selection pool, so you've got more animals to select from. So therefore, hopefully, your selection intensity is higher or stronger, but also it can decrease the accuracy of your selection a little bit depending on which traits you're basing it on, just given there's less records on the younger mums.
Yeah, I guess that's where things like genomics come in, where you can get higher accuracy breeding values on those girls. Some of the structural traits sometimes are a bit of a battle if they haven't expressed themselves. They haven't had time to fail, essentially. But yeah, I think the places that we work with that have sort of lent into ewe lamb / ewe hogget mating have, some of them at least have definitely got the foot to the floor on genetic gain as part of a range of things. As you said, accuracy, everything you got to get right, but it can be one of the levers we pull for sure to get things going faster.
Yeah, absolutely.
So from PhD, where do we go next?
So after my PhD, I scored a role working for Wairere. So big stud breeder in New Zealand. They did have some Romneys over in Australia as well, Romney stud over there. Yeah, people probably have heard of Derek Daniel. He's certainly a strong advocate for the farming industry out there. A lot of people have heard of Derek or Wairere. My role there was sort of the data manager, and it was, wore a lot of hats in that job, I guess. So anything from managing, collecting, recording, formatting, analysing the data that was associated with the stud. We had probably close to about 15,000 fully recorded breeding ewes across more than 10 flocks. So it was a bit of a challenge in there. We also, in the last couple of years, implemented. We've done 3 years of AI and ET. So bringing in embryos for what we've called our nudies, so a non-shearing sheep that are, we like to think, a step further than the Wiltshire, so they don't really have the wool to shed, so to speak. So we've done 3 years of AI and ET there, bringing genetics in from the UK. So we've brought in about 1,400 embryos and over 3,000 straws. So organising all of that was quite the task as well.
So 1,400 embryos imported and implanted.
Yep.
Right.
So we did about 400 the first year, or just over 400 the first year, just under 500 the second year, and then closer to 600 this last year. So it's all about getting the ewes all synchronised and pulling seeders at 9 o'clock at night, and then checking heat 7 o'clock the next morning, and putting teaser rams in that have got harnesses on them, and recording who's been tupped or marked. And then actually doing it, recording which embryo goes into each ewe and all of that sort of thing. Certainly an experience.
Yeah, exactly. Sounds like the kind of thing set you up perfectly for a job at NextGen.
Yeah, definitely.
Excellent. I guess, not many of we've got lots of businesses in Australia. I mean, maybe talk us through the state of the industry in the North Island at the moment. The sheep industry's probably had a bit of a belting with a lot of buyouts going into trees for carbon and high cost of production, low returns the last year or two. What's the state of play up in the north?
Yeah, it's definitely a challenging season out there. Depends on which part of the North Island, but the weather hasn't exactly played ball over the last few years either. Had Cyclone Gabrielle come through. We've had a wet spring in sort of the Manawatu Wairarapa this year, particularly around the ranges and things. It's been a tough few years out there. Definitely the low price of lambs and things is really hitting people, and high interest rates, and it's certainly not the ideal world out there at the moment. And places are still going to trees, which at Wairere, we just had 2 farms in the last few years get planted, which left about 300 or 400 metres worth of boundary that's not going to be trees of some description. So it certainly hits home a bit more when you see it right next door.
Yeah, it's particularly as those families leave the areas and stuff, and then the rugby clubs and the tennis clubs and the whatever. It's just less people around. That has a big impact. Yeah,
definitely.
Jenny, you've spent your life like I have looking at animals and their data. I guess, opportunities that you see. Have we reached anywhere near our optimum sort of genetic selection strategies across the sheep industry in New Zealand yet?
Ooh, no, I think there's still plenty that can be done. We're certainly, like, New Zealand industry as a whole has made massive gains in the last 20, 30 years. It's probably verging more like 40 years now, but massive gains have been made. But I think there's still a few areas where we can definitely make more progress. A couple of the big ones that are sort of front of mind would be worm resistance and facial eczema resistance. They're going to be health and disease traits are going to be a major part of the future, effectively. There's a lot of talk of drench resistance around basically anywhere in the North Island, and so that's going to be a big area that we can try and do something in. So getting some sort of parasite resistance more widespread across the sheep will be a major bonus. And something that I noticed with Waireere over the last few years is that there's more and more clients heading down the FE tolerant sheep path, even in the South Island. Like people on the West Coast, Nelson areas, they're getting into it, whether it's preemptive or some of them have actually had issues. Definitely going to be a case that in 10 years' time you probably won't have many sheep around that aren't somewhat FE tolerant.
I think that's true. It's been interesting. These things have been around for a fair while, and there was sort of some people got really into them, obviously, and then others have sort of maybe put in the too hard basket, or it's a future me problem. But now it's as you say, like it's very much front of mind of people. I think the first time you drench animals and it doesn't work scares the life out of you, and you get pretty focused on worm resistance after that. And we hear of someone where that's happened, and equally with a facial eczema outbreak. So we've talked about facial eczema before, but for those that don't know, it's a toxin that grows in. It's a fungus that grows on, and the spores from that, and that fungus is highly toxic to the liver of sheep. Some sheep are better at metabolizing it than others, and so some will get what's called. So the outcome of that is they get photosensitization, and obviously they end up with their face getting really awful looking, and obviously ultimately death if in lots of cases. So, and lots of subclinical losses. So it's a major issue. And as the climate changes, it's obviously associated with being fungal. It's warmth and moisture, and so as areas become more warm and moist, it's becoming more of a problem. Yeah,
it's really devastating. You sort of hear of people that have it now and then, and it really hurts if there's a bit of an outbreak somewhere that's really naive to it.
Knocks around anyway. And I think 100%. The fact that there is genetic variation for susceptibility is what gets us excited, and we can go and find those that are less susceptible. And there certainly are flocks out there that have come a long way, and a lot of people playing catch up now. But I think it's awesome to see the industry really rallying around that trait plus worm resistance. And I know Beef and Lamb have sort of had those two as sort of front and centre for their research effort and extension effort, and because they are, big, as you said, there's been big gains in fecundity particularly, and there's lots of flocks out there that'll tick away, scanning close to 200, so the appetite for more lambs isn't that strong, but the appetite for animals that are easier to manage is certainly pretty strong.
Yeah, and I think this, like the shedding sheep or the non-shearing sheep, is going to be something that is probably the next trait that people start chasing, and it's going to take off a whole lot more in the next few years. Definitely a lot of interest in that.
I'm making a bold prediction. Everyone I talk to, I can't see many wool sheep in the North Island in a decade's time, or maybe I don't know how long it's going to take. But there's a lot of interest in knot and shedding, or in non-wool.
Yeah, but there's even in just reducing the workload associated with wool. Taking the wool off the points, reducing the dagging, reducing products needed for fly strike, etc. It's going to be, there's a lot of old wool sheds out there that need repairs, and people are starting to sort of toss up whether they put the money into the repairs of the wool shed or into a RAM budget for something with less wool on it.
Yeah,
and I think definitely heard that over in Australia and things that there's got to be a fitness, sort of warrant of fitness with the wool shed for shearers to come and shear in it, which isn't the case here in New Zealand, but it could well be in future. So there's certainly a few things on people's minds.
Yeah, I mean, when you're staring down like any new shearing shed's, obviously not going to be a cheap exercise, and so people have to make, that is definitely part of their decision making when they're thinking about where they're going with their genetics and the workload, as you said. So I think anyway, I'll stick with my prediction that's going to be fine wool and no wool. The middle bit's going to be pretty hard to justify for a while unless everyone does go shedding, and then 35 micron wool becomes scarce, and then the demand goes up, and then that might change things. But so anyway, it's going to be an interesting little future, I guess. Probably should have given you a warning on this question, but what are you looking forward to in the role at nextGen Agri? And you can have a moment to think about that.
No, I'm just looking forward to getting out on farm and meeting a whole lot of new people and seeing how people do stuff. Everyone does something slightly different, and it's cool to see what they do and why they do it, and probably how that could be implemented on other people's properties and things like that. I'd like to think that I've got plenty to give to the clients of nextGen, but I think that they've also got plenty to give to me as well. So, looking forward to that part.
Yeah, no, definitely. We learn a lot from our clients and vice versa, hopefully. But definitely, there's as you say, it's awesome and we are exceptionally proud of the people we get to associate with. It's always great to be working with the people that are really movers and shakers of the industry and trying to bash down any barriers that might exist. You're going to be based out of Fielding, and so servicing the North Island, and so people can get in touch at mop@nextgenagri.com or they'll find your phone number on our website somewhere. But it's going to be great to have you up there, and looking forward to catching up in person next week and having a bit of a quick catch up and get the plans organised to really try and make a difference up there in the livestock industry of the North Island.
Yeah, no, looking forward to it.
Excellent. Thanks, Emma. Thanks very much for firstly joining the team, and secondly for coming along today and having a chat about the backstory and future with us. It's really looking forward to it. So thanks for your time.
Yeah, no, thank you. I'm looking forward to it too.
Cheers.
Thanks again to Heineken, who are proud world leaders in the manufacturing and supply of professional sheep shearing and clipping equipment. Thank you to MNSD Animal Health and Norflex Livestock Intelligence. They offer an extensive livestock product portfolio focused on animal health management, all backed up by exceptional service. We thank both of these companies for their ongoing support of the Head Shepherd podcast.